Jim Boeheim, winner of the Spirit of V Award, a cancer survivor. Tonight, his basketball team gets to see a familiar opponent. They met for the first time in 1987. Big names and legendary figures in a championship game for the ages. Syracuse couldn't hold its big lead, and Indiana, at the moment, cemented forever in NCAA tournament lore. But in the last 25 years, they've met 5 times, and they've all been orange, including last year's win on the road to the Final Four. Syracuse took out the #1 seed. It's a rivalry renewed tonight. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's game, part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic. Season-long spotlight on the games that will impact the tournament. And it is the opener of the Big Ten ACC Challenge, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, as Indiana visits #4, Syracuse. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Carey Dome. Mike Tirico, Dan Doncic, Andy Katz will join us here in a little bit. Great crowd on hand. Should be a fun way to start this Big Ten ACC Challenge here tonight. And Dan, let's talk about the Syracuse success that they had in Maui, winning the Maui Invitational for the 3rd time, and CJ Fair, ACC preseason player of the year, was the MVP.
I'm sorry, Mike. He's on my preseason All-American list. I thought he was sensational in Maui. He's averaging 18 points a game. And for you Indiana fans, think Calbert Chaney. Smooth on the baseline, good range, terrific player.
Now, on the other side, for Indiana, this is a very different Indiana team, as we saw. They've only lost once this year. That was to UConn in New York at Madison Square Garden. But these young players starting to build a little bit here, Dan. I think good things can happen down the line.
Yeah, the one-point game came within a few inches of losing to Long Island, Brooklyn. And give Tom Crean and his staff credit. From them, they have been lights out. They learned something in a close win.
Let's talk about the one-on-one. Indiana met Syracuse last year in the NCAA tournament. It's where the Hoosiers' road ended.
Yeah, and quite frankly, they had no offense against the zone. You got to do a lot of things against the zone. Play the middle, play the baseline. We'll talk about that, but if Indiana's going to have success in this game, they have to do a much better job from a schematic point of view against the zone.
Let's check our starting lineups here tonight in the Carrier Dome. And for Indiana, Yogi Ferrell, Will Sheehy, the 2 players who played the most significant time in that Sweet 16 game last year. Williams and Vonleh, the 2 freshmen, outstanding for IU. Meantime, for the Orange, Trevor Cooney and Tyler Ennis, the starting backcourt now, performing at a good level along with CJ Fair. Jim Boeheim's front court needs to score a bit more as we go through December. For more on this opener, here's Andy Katz. Andy.
Well, this is the first official men's basketball event as members of the ACC. You can see it on the court here. And there has been a buzz about this season since Syracuse was going to the ACC, and they knew they were playing Indiana in the Big Ten ACC Challenge and getting Duke and North Carolina in the conference schedule. What that means, they've sold more than 5,000 season tickets than a year ago. They're expecting 27,000 fans here in this game, which would be a record for December recently. And more than anything, they sold out that Duke game on February 1st, the earliest they've ever sold out a game like that. They sold it out in October. Back to you guys. This is great buzz in this building.
Yeah, Andy, it is. It's been an exciting time and a change from all the Big East days with Jim Boeheim's team over the years. This venue that has hosted so many Big East games will host a lot of large ACC games. And all the meetings between these 2 teams that have happened since that 1987 national championship game, and that one for obvious reasons, it happened on neutral floors. First time either team is on the other's campus, and Syracuse in the home white controls the tip.
Mike, this kind of a Final Four atmosphere. This is electric in here.
CJ Fair, who Dan talked about in the open, breaks the scoring seal as the senior who came back for that last year tries to become a leader of this orange team.
Mike, he is so smooth. I'm telling you, the comparison to Calbert Chaney is right there. He's mid-range. You saw the ball die on the rim. That's the kind of touch that he has.
See our officials, that's the same trio that worked that dramatic Connecticut buzzer beater against Florida last night. Indiana passed it inside of the zone, but turned it over. And Tyler Ennis, he and Trevor Cooney both played very well for Syracuse and Maui, as the Orange and Indiana have added in November to those top 10 all-time win totals. Cooney, a 3. He hit 7 of them in Syracuse's season-opening win. Jeremy Hollowell comes back. He's back in the starting lineup, Dan, for IU.
Well, he sat out. Coach Crean put a walk on Jeff Howard in his place against Evansville, and to Hollowell's credit, he had 18 points in 17 minutes, so he didn't sulk. It's a lesson for young kids. Keep your head up and go.
Cooney, a launch triple. Trevor Cooney, who redshirted in his first year, didn't play a ton last year, but really has developed more than the outside shot, and a significant factor for the Syracuse team going forward.
Mike, he made 22 in a row from that spot in warm-ups. 22. I stood there and got mesmerized by it.
DeJuan Coleman with the defense on Hollowell inside. He'll stay down here with Tom Crean's team. As you know, extraordinary turnaround, an Indiana program that had a lot of issues to overcome. 28-66 the first 3 years, and the tremendous success, #1 to start the season last year and a #1 seed in the tournament until they lost to the Orange in D.C.
They had a terrible setup last year against his own, and you saw Tom Crean with a sheet. You know, you have to do a number of things against Syracuse's zone. You have to reverse the ball. You have to get in the middle. You have to get behind it. We'll talk about that. But you can't rely on any one thing, because Jim Boeheim does it like a man-to-man. He adjusts to what you do throughout the course of the game. And right now, Indiana's too stagnant on the perimeter. They got to pass fake and do that. Get in the defense, force 2-on-1.
Sheehy, a three. This Indiana team has struggled mightily with shooting, but they've been a good rebounding team this year. Yogi Ferrell missed the three. Good hustle by Sheehy, diving to save it, but it's out of bounds. And Syracuse ball. Dan, you talk about Indiana's shooting. 28% shooting the threes thus far this year. It's a very different season.
Yeah, they can't shoot. Last year they could shoot. And when you, first possession of the UConn game, ball's reversed to the top of the key to Troy Williams. Last year, that's a three going up by either Watford or Halls, whomever trailing. This year, they had a grunt out of possession. It's just much more difficult when you can't shoot.
That was a high-low. That was a high-no. Rakeem Christmas, the bad pass, makes up for it with the block on Williams. The freshman point guard, Ennis, from Ontario. Fair. Short, got his own rebound.
That's a really good play by Ennis. He recognized that Yogi Ferrell got caught mid-post with Fair and went right to him.
Now using DeJuan Coleman as the screen. Ennis gets inside, scored 28 against Cal. Alver and Maui, and quickly Tom Crean pulls the plug. The Orange opens 7-0, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. To the 7-0 start against the Hoosiers, Dan.
Hey, let's show you the block. Look, you can do this in high school. You can go in weak in high school. In college, against Syracuse, are you kidding me? You've got to go bite the rim. If you miss, fine. If you get knocked down, better. Get up and make free throws. But do not, under any circumstances, come in there soft. Indiana came in soft and got what they deserved.
Again, very young Indiana team, and the veteran, talented Indiana team with 2 top 4 picks in the draft struggled against this zone in that NCAA tournament game.
Mike, watch the hands on top. I tell you what, Trevor Cooney is doing a great job of disrupting Indiana's offense.
And there's Hollowell got trapped, and another Indiana turnover.
Mike, the ball should never go to the short corner. Many zones, you throw it to the short corner, you dive the man on top, bucket. Not this zone. You throw it to the short corner, which is the area just off the block. They're going to trap you, and you ain't getting out.
Fair called for the carry. And on the turnover, it goes back to the Hoosiers. They're watching that a bit more closely this year.
Every year they watch it until about January 1st, and it goes away. Every year, Mike.
Wait, I was looking. It's what, 3:45 gone. I had a clock in my mind all summer when I worked with Dockage. How long until the first comment full of sarcasm? And I was right, inside of 5 minutes.
I'm surprised the touch foul wasn't called. They didn't get on him early. Look at that. Still get those hands. Now Cooney is all over the place. He doesn't have the length that they had last year with Michael Carter-Williams, but I tell you what, he's just as effective to this point in the game.
Hoosiers, as you see, 2 turnovers to go with that 0-for-6 start. This is a team I felt needed to get off to a good start because they're inexperienced. Cooney got them all. 10-0 Syracuse.
Mike, those of you that think on offense, Jim Boeheim just rolls the balls out, you're crazy. They do more off cutting than any team I've seen so far this year. Fair's really good. Cooney's really good at it.
Good attempt by Williams to crash the glass, and Vonleh finally gets his hands on the ball. And he will come to the line on the other side of this timeout. Perfect 10 in the start for the Cubes.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And in part by Infinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. And State Farm, for auto, home, life, and banking. Get to a better state.
It's Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN. We continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. Syracuse a 10-0 start in this Big Ten ACC Challenge as Dan Trevor Cooney and company off to a good start on both ends.
Number 10 is right in the middle of the lane. You see him right there. Now watch. He has the option. Go right off a double, go left off a single, and I mean, this is spectacular. I love this action. He fakes, comes off a double on the other side. Yogi Ferrell down. You cannot leave Trevor Cooney. Telling you, between C.J. Fair and Trevor Cooney, they are as good of movement off the ball team as I have seen thus far this year.
Cooney with time and an improved game has improved that points per game, as you saw here at the start. Well, Indiana breaks the seal on the free throw from the freshman, 6'10", 240 pounds. Noah Vonleh, already twice Big Ten Freshman of the Week. He has made double-doubles a regularity in the early start. McDonald's All-American top 10 recruit. And Dan, very hungry for the basketball IQ to grow. Watching film early on, I love what I hear and see thus far from Vonleh.
Jim Boeheim, and this make Julius Randle and Kentucky fans mad. Jim Boeheim told me he's the best inside freshman in the country, the best inside playing freshman in the country. Hard to argue with Julius Randle, hard to argue with Noah Vonleh, and you're right. He comes in on his own, watches film.
Indiana foul was on Hollowell, his first. That foul before the break on Syracuse was on Rakeem Christmas. Only 2 fouls of our first 5 minutes. Orange, number 4 in the country. Good read on the steal by Williams. And the dunk for the other freshman, Troy Williams.
That was terrific. I guarantee you in the timeout, Coach Crane told Troy Williams, get on top of Trevor Cooney. Deny him. Make him work. Speed him up a little bit. Sped him up to the tune of a steal. Almost got that one, too.
Yeah. Indiana's a team that's going to have to make the little things happen to succeed as we go through this Big Ten season. Cooney for a third three, and Vonleh the rebound.
Tell you what, Rakeem Christmas has to shoot that shot from the elbow. And if you can't shoot the shot from the elbow, then they got to get somebody in there that can, because that's an easy shot.
Inside deflected last by the Hoosiers. It'll be Syracuse ball.
Kids, stay one half man off and use your hand. Now use the wrong hand, but you don't have to have your body in the passing lane. And when you get steals, guess what? You get dunks. And when you get dunks, you might get on SportsCenter.
Can I get that again? Stay one half man off?
One half man off the passing lane.
Okay.
Use your hand to get into the passing lane. That keeps you on balance. And if the offensive player, in this case Ennis, makes a careless pass, you're in the passing lane to make a steal. If you get your body in the passing lane, that's when you get back cut.
Number 3 for Syracuse, Jeremy Grant is in. Sophomore who played outstanding basketball in Maui. Had a couple of 19-point games. Indiana's brought in their freshman out of Warren Central in Indianapolis, Devin Davis, number 15. You like him?
Love him. Love him. He's active. He'll move his feet.
Off the weak side, rebound blocked by Vonleh. Shot clock at 5. It'll be Cooney, quick three. And Davis clears the glass. Grant tried to save it, but out of bounds. It'll be IU ball. Remind you that this Big Ten ACC Challenge all across the networks, ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU, for the next couple of nights. Tomorrow night here on ESPN, Maryland, Ohio State, and the number 1 Michigan State in East Lansing taking on North Carolina.
Anytime you have an uneven offseason like North Carolina did with the suspensions of P.J. Harrison, you're going to have an uneven start to your season. It's just the way it works.
Christmas rebounding the Davis miss. 7 minutes gone by. Syracuse scored the first 10. Indiana the last 4.
I hate when I brag on teams about something they don't do it. Now they're moving off the ball a little bit, a little double-double action.
C.J. Fair, the lefty, works so well off the right side. This time goes to his right, and baseline was pushed by Sheehy. That'll be the second IU foul here on the night. Dan, just let's talk for a minute about what's going on with Indiana and such attrition for a variety of reasons. Players going pro, seniors going to Europe, all that stuff. This is a very different approach Tom Crean's going to have to take, yet the expectations remain high for this program.
And I think they should. I think they're a really talented team. I don't know that Indiana's ever had this kind of length, and I mean ever. So, yes, the expectations are pretty high, but you know what? They're high at all elite programs. Different team. Shots don't come as easy, but I'll tell you what does come easy to them, and we've seen it already, the offensive backboard. You can't take the ball down there, Mike. Against Syracuse, you have to be what Rick Majerus used to call judicious with the dribble. Don't just put your head down, dribble, and figure it out, because what happens is, Mike, you put your head down and dribble, all of a sudden, yeah, they're right on you, and you can't get out.
You reacted to my hands. Yeah. I'm describing what you were about to say. Unfortunately, we're not. Well, fortunately for America. Fortunately for America, we're not on camera as I do that. Yogi Ferrell with a toe on the tape. That's a 2. And even though Indiana is only 2 of 11 from the field, they've scored the last 6 to just climb back in this one.
Well, somebody for Syracuse is going to have to go to work on the block. And I'm not sure they're capable if it's not going to be Grant, because they have been open on the block. Indiana has tightened up its perimeter defense. The block is going to have to happen here for the Cuse.
Here's that shot Christmas did not take before he missed it. Terrific rebound by an outstanding developing talent in the 6'8" Jeremy Grant.
Like he went over 6'7". Davis. There you go.
She couldn't finish. Block inside by Christmas. Devin Davis. And Christmas comes away with it.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Luke Fisher came out, the freshman, on a hard edge, and the foul is going to be called on Luke as we step out here on this Jimmy V week on ESPN. Back here in the Dome, that score is 12-7. Syracuse on top by 5. We mentioned that 1987 National Championship game. Well, the teams played a year plus later at Madison Square Garden. Do you remember this pass, Dan?
I was sitting right next to Coach Knight. Joey Hillman lost the ball, and Sherman Douglas hiked it.
Yes,
look at his hike.
To Stephen Thompson, one of the great dunkers of all-time. Sherman Douglas, a tremendous assist man. As a matter of fact, our friend Jim Kelly was doing that game with Dick Vitale. And I remember Vitale to this day yelling, "Jim Kelly, I don't believe that. Kelly, did you see what he did?" It was a tremendous one. It meant a lot to the folks, not just here at Syracuse, as Douglas, that all-time assist king, is his number retired, but also to Jim Boeheim and this program that Indiana lost in the national championship game of 1987 was a wound that has taken a long time to heal, because it's a program that has since won a title, but that was the one that got away. Syracuse a double-digit lead in that game, and Indiana coming back to win it on the late shot.
It didn't get away. Indiana whipped you. Keith Smart went nuts at the end of the game. He had
were up
15
double digits, though, Dan.
Well,
so
make a free throw.
That means it got away.
And guard somebody. We just saw.
Getting away doesn't mean that the other team didn't do its job. If you have a double-digit lead, flies through for the dunk. He had one of those in Maui as well, and the lead is 7.
Make a free throw.
That's part of getting away. They didn't
guard
close the deal
at the end of the game.
Oh my God!
Did you see what happened to Oklahoma State against Memphis?
Yes.
Right. What happened? They couldn't get a shot.
And the game got away from
Indiana got an easy shot on the baseline for the national championship.
Here's Grant flying in.
And he comes right in and gets things done. He is just become maybe the 6th man of the year in college basketball so far. When he comes in, great things happen for Syracuse.
I wonder if he's not going to be starting as the year goes on with the lack of front court scoring.
You know what? As I said, somebody inside for Syracuse, for them to be a national contender, has to be able to score. I'm not saying 22, but you got to be able to get 6 to 8, 10 legitimately.
Fisher stand there waiting for the ball. Syracuse good on the perimeter. Benajay in the game for the first time, knocked it away. Shot clock at 11. Farrell from up top. This to 3. The rebound pulled down by Ennis. Andy Katz.
Well, assistant coach Jerry McNamara told me that one of the ways that they can become that elite team is become defensively the way they were a year ago. He said that was the difference. That's what took them to the Final Four, the way they were defensively inside. If they can do that with this group, he thinks they've got a shot.
You know, Syracuse fans and coaches say, well, you know, we don't have Michael Carter-Williams out there. Trish was really good. I'm going to tell you something. On top of the zone, Trevor Cooney really good to this point.
Fair. Got bumped. And CJ will come to the line. Well, help us beat cancer. The V Foundation awards 100% of direct donations to fund cancer research. Operating expenses are paid for by an endowment fund. JimmyV.org or call 1-800-4JimmyV to donate. A lot of the very generous and philanthropic people along the way early on helped get the V Foundation off to that tremendous start to allow all donations to go right directly to cancer research. The people who work behind the scenes of the foundation, very special. It means a lot to so many of us that so many of you have chipped in support, and do it in memory of those you love and those close to you, because cancer comes so close to us too often.
If you have a chance and going to Dickie V's Gala down in Florida is a fantastic event. I mean, Tom Crean, you Indiana fans, is going to be honored this year along with Nick Saban. And if you get an opportunity in May, Indiana fans, Alabama fans, do yourself a favor.
Beautiful lob by Farrell, able to finish it. Stanford Robinson, freshman out of Landover, Maryland, whose hustle has opened some eyes and getting the other parts of his game going, but he can score.
You know, he's a kid, as they say, he's trying to figure it out.
To the inside, denied by Musakita, the backup center. He missed. And on the run out, here's Yogi. It's just a different mindset, Dan, playing against his zone, because those things in transition, if the zone gets back and gets set, it's hard to do the things that you normally can get done.
And to that point, Indiana's gone really small here. You know, they've brought in Stanford Robinson. They have Jeremy Hollowell, Evan Gordon. They've gone small because what they want to do is freelance here. 2 reversals, drive the ball. Don't play one-sided. Keep driving, keep attacking, keep attacking. And Indiana feels with a smaller lineup they can do that. Now, the one thing it does against Indiana, Indiana's biggest strength so far this year has been the backboard. This lineup can't get on the glass as well.
Grant on the spin. Couldn't finish. Keita is blocked inside by Vonleh. He had to wait. He would have put it back in, but it was rolling across the rim. On the take, Robinson, which bailed out with the foul on B1G.
You have to get behind the zone when you're playing against Syracuse because the wings rise up. Bottom man, in this case, Grant, didn't look behind him. Indiana took advantage.
Two at the line for Robinson. Played his prep ball. Finley prep. After his high school career, you talk about the zone and some of the things that you need to watch for and Indiana needs to do tonight.
Yeah, there's a ton of things you need to do, but the basics are this. 3 penetrations, 2 ball reversals. Keep penetrating. Shot or pass fake before you dribble. Be judicious. Don't just put your head down. Have the middle filled and always play behind the zone. Never play in front of the back of the zone. Defender can't see you if he's behind you. Trevor Cooney told me that exact thing. If you get behind me, I can't see you. Advantage offense.
On that rebounding action, B1G is called for the foul, his second. Really, Syracuse only plays 3 guards right now with Ennis, Cooney, and B1G, so he goes to the bench, and we have a whistle inside on Syracuse. B1G Keita called for using the knee as Hollowell was coming through. 2 on Keita. Who is that back there? Mark Teixeira? Yeah, here's Mark Teixeira.
Mark, tell your ownership, don't give Robinson Cano $300 million or whatever it is. What are you doing?
You know, Cano was a big fan of your work up until that point. I don't know what you just did, but
I try to help wherever I can.
Now action inside, and Vonleh is going to be called for the foul. And the officials have tightened with the touch stuff inside against the zone the last couple of minutes.
You know why Steve Welmer was the best referee ever? This wouldn't be a foul. He would talk to both players and say, let's stop. Let's just stop, talk to him, and get it cleaned up.
Well, the elbow came up high on that one. That would have been called on anyway. And the officials are over there looking at the elbow.
What I'm saying, Mike, is before it got to that point, things would have been cleaned up. That's my biggest thing with inside officiating. Don't let it get to this point. Just separate them. You see it. You know it's coming. Hey, stop. And they'll stop.
Officials taking a peek here. Oh, that elbow does come up there, up by the chin. And the first one was up in the chest, was no big deal. And I don't think there was intent, but as we have seen, it's not intent, it's actual. And he does get Christmas. Whether he emphasized it or not, got him up by the chin.
See, I think it all, right now you're talking to him if you're a ref. Right now you see it, you stop, you see them going back and forth. If you let it go, that's going to happen.
Officials over taking a look at these replays as you are.
You know what? That's got to be a flagrant one, I think.
Carl Hess, Jamie Lucky, and Michael Stevens will call exactly that as Christmas was defending. B1G Keita picked up that second foul inside the zone, and they came out of the game as he was too aggressive using his knee. And you know, you have a zone defense, and oftentimes it's very interesting to see how fouls are called against the zone, especially with this emphasis on the fouls and freedom of movement. And Syracuse coaches have talked about learning to play defense in the zone differently with the way the games are being called now. And some of their principles and rules have to be changed from where they once were. So Christmas comes to the line for a couple of free throws after the flagrant one on the freshman Vonleh.
Mike, one of the things I think in playing a zone is exactly what you just saw there. You can never put a knee. Now, that was the first call on Keita. You can never put a knee into the rear end of an offensive player. That's automatic. That's going to be called a foul. That was called last year, 2 years ago, and it's going to be called this year. Now, one of the things that I think Syracuse does a great job is, if you watch this game on reversal, the bottom guy takes away the shot, and then the top guy recovers to the shooter and takes away the drive, and they do it with their hands almost behind their elbows. If you can do that at home, put your hands behind your elbows. It's not easy, but that's what I'm talking about, to not foul. You see Vonleh doing it here.
Good job digging down by Evan Gordon to take it away.
Mike, I really think number 33, Jeremy Hollowell, has to get involved here. He's explosive, kind of an X factor for Indiana. He can do a lot of things. Kind of invisible so far.
And inside as Hollowell goes down. Christmas is called for the foul, as he was defending on the interior of the zone. So the officials talk about this one as we get a timeout. 7.5 to go. Cooney hit a couple of threes. Indiana came back from down 10-0 to tighten this thing. 7-point Orange lead. Big Ten ACC challenge. Part of the journey to the tournament. Despite some terrible shooting, Indiana only down 7.5 left in the first half. Good week of college basketball across the networks. Friday night, start your weekend with a little 10 o'clock action as Kentucky and Baylor face off the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Got a chance to see Baylor as they played Syracuse over in Maui. And, of course, Kentucky at number 3 with all their terrific freshmen. This year's a crop of kids for UK, pretty strong, led by Julius Randle. Such a strong presence inside for John Calipari.
It's amazing, Mike. The Harrison twins, look what they're averaging, double figures as freshmen, and people are really critical of them. Like, wow. Pretty loaded team for them to be doing what they're doing. I love Kentucky's team this year. I think they're a Final Four team.
Indiana has shot 3 of 15 here in this first half.
They just can't put the ball down there.
Vonleh, good strong catch inside, fouled from behind by C.J. Fair. And Noah Vonleh will come to the line. It was interesting before the inbounds here, Dan. A bit of a warning from Michael Stevens. Enough.
Yeah, Michael Stevens is a very good official, and he doesn't want to have another situation. He wants Vonleh to play. He wants Christmas in there. But that's exactly what officials should do. Take every opportunity, even during the play, to communicate with the players and just tell them what you want. And players, I promise you, will listen.
Now, you've been around. Andy Katz has seen so many of the top teams in the big game so far. Andy, what are you noticing about that freedom of movement and the clamp down by officials now as we get into the second wave of this college basketball season?
Well, we've definitely seen an adjustment of the way it's being called and the way the players are reacting to it. You know, I talked to a number of officials on our trip out to Korea, and they were telling me, look, we didn't make these rules. The coaches did. We have a learning curve as well, but they all expected the players to adjust. And I think we've seen that more and more. Hands have to be visible. That's what Jerry McNamara told me he's telling his players in the zone.
Fair with a make on one end and off the miss. It is Grant looking for Dajuan Coleman inside. That's what Syracuse needs. Presence inside to finish.
That's great offense. Tell you why. Trevor Cooney was opposite. He was opposite, Mike. So Robinson couldn't help for Indiana.
On a block by Fair, but Hollowell cleans it up inside.
And that's what Hollowell needs to do. But Williams was guarding Clooney. You see him on the right-hand side. So Williams wasn't able to get over and get help. It's good offense. Jim Boeheim, terrific offensive coach.
Syracuse going for a little earlier offense here as Grant scores inside. First time we actually have some flow to the game, and Vonleh going to come to the line. I thought for a second they may have rolled back in.
Mike, are there some athletes in this game?
Yeah, they really are.
This is what I'm talking about. Watch the weak side. Watch Trevor Cooney over here on the weak side. He's in the corner. Troy Williams cannot help. So as Vonleh has moved up the lane, the help side is cleared out because of a shooter. If the help comes in and leaves Cooney, then there's going to be a skip pass and it's going to be a three. It's subtle, but it's really good offense. Take the ball away from the shooter. It spreads out the defense.
Foul was in the act. It was also the 8th foul on Syracuse. Vonleh at the line. You know, Dan, when Cooney hit those 7 3-pointers in the first game Syracuse had against Cornell, it set up so much of their season and their offense because there were a lot of questions, including Cooney, who had a reputation as a shooter coming out of Delaware. Was that all he could do? Well, when he came in games last year with a much more talented offensive team around him, he felt the pressure, couldn't get those shots to go, and thus didn't see a lot of time. But needing scoring options, once he hit those shots, as you said, just the fact that you know you've got to stay with him can open up a lot of other people.
There's no question, Mike. I had a chance to talk to him before the game. I said, all right, what is it?
Well, there's the return of the knee that we saw called earlier. This time, Hannah Mascara-Perea, the sophomore from Columbia, is called for IU. Andy, you and I were talking to Jerry McNamara about the development of Syracuse's guard, Trevor Cooney.
Yeah, coach in waiting, Mike Hopkins, said that he likened the relationship that Jerry McNamara and Trevor Cooney have to what he had with Jerry McNamara. And G-Mac told me that he envisions himself in Cooney. He's got a great motor, and he set a high bar, especially during that redshirt year, by getting bigger, stronger, took it to those 6 a.m. workouts back in his home state of Delaware this summer.
Crash to the glass by Mascara-Perea, no foul, and the lob by Farrell. Good catch. And a player who needs to continue to develop, Hannah Mascara-Perea, has made it a 5-point Indiana deficit.
Came on and gave really good minutes at the end of the year last year. Doesn't really know how to play yet, but you can see just by that catch and finish has better footwork this year.
Coleman, wild release after getting good position. And will Sheehy back in the game for Indiana as the Hoosiers have settled in here a bit. Sheehy going all the way in the hole. Blocking foul and a goaltend.
Absolutely.
Well, the basket will count. And a chance for the 3-point play.
The attempt at a charge here is late. Coleman is late and he's moving. And watch here. Jeremy Grant, what are you doing? That's an old coaching term, Mike. Jeremy Grant, what are you doing? This is probably going in anyway. Mike, the one thing I don't understand about these new rules, and I listen to guys in our network, why does everybody have a problem with a charge? Like, guys act like a charge is a bad thing. Charge is a really good thing, but we got to eliminate the charge. Why? Why? It's a defensive play being made. We talk about playmakers. They're not just on offense. You're in the lane, in help side, be a playmaker, make a steal. You're in the lane, in help side, you're in transition, be a playmaker, take a charge. I hear all these guys, charges are bad. I think charges are great. But, look how big these guys are. Is nobody supposed to touch each other? Listen to our
7-0 run by Indiana, and Keto will get to the line as he was able to get Mascara Perea in the air.
I think we ought to outlet the shot fake because the shot fake leads to touching. Shot fakes, touching. It's like ACC basketball. The Big Ten where we beat up everybody.
Yeah, Syracuse until about 8 minutes ago was in the Big East,
I know.
which was long known for some meat grinder games.
I just hear it. Well, a charge is a great defensive play during the ACC. That's what I'm saying. You eliminate the shot fake because you might touch someone. Is that the freedom of movement? Don't touch.
The game needs some help. The quality of the game needs some help. Great athletes want to see them be athletic. And this is entertainment.
I'll tell you what coaches decided this summer. And in talking to a bunch of them, regardless of the rules, they figured out that teams that score win.
Yes.
So they were going to go up and down the court. They were going to play fast. And I applaud them.
Keita now battling with Fisher on the interior of that zone. Fisher comes to the elbow to catch. Freshman from Wisconsin. Clock at 4. Farrell knocks down the 3, and we're tied at 24. Great comeback from down 10-0 to open this game for the Hoosiers here on the road.
And Mike, great ball movement. Not good ball movement, great ball movement by Indiana.
And it's inside. Farrell hit the deck hard, and it's able to score.
He was moving without the ball, Mike. This is a play they ran numerous times in Maui. Run off that little tee instead of come out. They back cut. Terrific execution by Anderson, Syracuse.
Shot clock at 5. Farrell gonna have to hoist. Got it again. Well, the one Hoosier who has hit threes this year, Yogi Ferrell, gives Indiana its first lead of the night. And it's on the take. And the foul at the top. Free throws on the other side of this timeout.
You're the Syracuse zone, the one guy you better pay attention to, particularly in the last 5 seconds. You've really got to jump out on Farrell and make him a driver. Good defense, better offense.
The halftime reports coming up. The Big Ten ACC Challenge continues on ESPNU, ESPN2. Close games, Illinois, Georgia Tech, and Penn State and Pittsburgh tied 15-15. In light of that Auburn-Alabama finish, arguably the greatest sports finish ever, we have our guys, Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg, hashing it out at half for what was the best college basketball finish ever. Dan and Mike very familiar with that Syracuse, Indiana championship game.
We are, to say the least, Ravi, you're absolutely correct. Our Sonic Showdown shows the conference history, the championships for these schools, regular season and postseason in their conference. Syracuse back then in the Big East, and Indiana's 5 NCAA titles, one of them coming against Syracuse in '87, and Syracuse going back to the Superdome 16 years later in 2003 to win its national title.
You want to see a great finish in college basketball? Google North Carolina, Charlotte versus Marquette. 1977 NCAA Final Four. It might be the best finish in the history of college basketball. Better than Leitner's, because Jerome Whitehead tips it in, and while he tips in his own miss, he goaltends his own miss. It's length of the court 4 seconds to go. It is unbelievable.
You can just go right to YouTube. You don't have to do Google. It slows the process.
Oh, what did I say?
You said Google it, which is fine, but I'm just trying to make your life more efficient. Indiana, after the poor start, has come back, had a 13-3 stretch there, including hitting those 3 threes. A much-needed and missing element. Beautiful fight. Sheehy is blocked. Syracuse has done a terrific job defending the rim. On the take, Devin Davis, no. Sheehy volleyballs it up. Rebound fair for the Orange.
Hey, that's 2 freshmen for Indiana, Fisher and Davis, really getting after the backboard.
6 blocks for Syracuse as a team here in this first half. Dennis has it poked out of bounds.
Go strong or go home. That's as simple as I can make it. Sheehy knows better than this. Sheehy can dunk with his ear. And he tries to get a little finesse going with the right hand. You've got to go off a running start and just go eat the rim. In this game, I'll give the refs credit. Sometimes in NCAA basketball, it's like an automatic foul when you go to the rim and the defender comes. Syracuse has gone to the rim, had it blocked. Indiana's gone to the rim, had it blocked. I think the officiating's been terrific in this game.
Tim Garl, the athletic training staff, looking at Devin Davis, who limped to the bench at that timeout. Fair has his shot blocked by Vonleh, but score it. It was goaltending. Orange by 3. Let me remind you, the journey to the tourney continues. We mentioned the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. #1 Michigan State takes on North Carolina at the Breslin Center in East Lansing tomorrow night, 9 Eastern. Right here, remember, Michigan and Duke next from Cameron. Hollowell now. Oh! Troy Williams! Oh, clean up down the lane. Oh!
Da-da-da, da-da-da. Oh, my goodness. That's one of those TV doesn't do justice. That was unbelievable.
Cooney slip pass for Kita is deflected. All right, well, let's see. It looks pretty justifying from this.
That's freshman. There's 3 freshmen, I'm telling you. Between Vonleh, Devin Davis been all over the backboard, kind of shooting into bad luck. Fisher, now Williams.
Deflected by Ennis. Indiana 11 to shoot, but they've been getting good late shots. Evan Gordon with the clock at 3. Worked it inside. Vonleh blocked by Keita, and a shot clock violation.
You know what would go really well in this game? Get the ball inside Syracuse and get a shot fake. You've seen what shot fakes do. I mean, it's made guys fly. Right there, shot fake.
And it's tall off the window, no. Pitched it to Fair. And Syracuse will settle here in the final minute. And the use it or lose it timeout taken by the Hall of Famer, Jim Boeheim. 47.6 left. Syracuse 30. Indiana 29. All right, so this game comes out in the schedule for the ACC Big Ten Challenge and Big Ten ACC Challenge this year, say in the right order. And for those of you who didn't know, Dan, legendary Indiana figure, coach, player. I don't know if you've ever heard, he shut down Michael Jordan in the NCAA tournament. I only hear it 10, 15 times a year. I'm a Syracuse alum. Paid a lot of money to go here, too. So, in the spirit of being absolutely fair and objective, I brought the most orange tie I own, gave it to Dan. Dan sent somebody out to buy a $7 tie for me. So here, I'm wearing the good Indiana colors. You've got the Syracuse colors. We're all set.
And I'm a little embarrassed because I forgot to not my tie, but I love this tie. And look at this guy here.
Okay, it's a wonderful picture that was found with me.
We took the Mike Tirico tour. For those of you that want the Mike Tirico tour, it's outstanding.
Wait a minute. Why did we get this picture like 5 years ago of you and we go 30 years back for me? Completely unfair. Oh, that was 30 years ago of Dan? Oh, okay, it wasn't. It is great to be here with you and great to see Indiana and Syracuse playing again. Cooney, a three.
Mike, that's so good. That was so good. Cooney changed direction on Evan Gordon. I mean, he set up a cut, popped off his outside foot, came off the screen, and looked like Jerry McNamara right there.
Shot clock off, into the half. Keita helped cause the turnover. Cooney spots the clock. Fair, 4-3. Keita into the half. Well, Syracuse started with the 10-0 run. Indiana charged back to take the lead. Trevor Cooney on both ends of the half, knocking down threes. And after falling behind, Syracuse scored 7 of the last 9 points. And Andy Katz, the Orange, are up 4 at the break.
All right, thank you, Mike. How would you assess, Tom, the way you guys handled that early 10-0 deficit?
Well, we handled it just fine because it was just a matter of getting in, getting our bearings straight. We were really quiet. You know, we played like it was our first game on the road in a 30,000-seat dome. So we got that rectified, and we got back to doing what we came to do, which is get the ball inside, get on the glass, get back on defense, all right, and find a way to be effective throughout the entire clock, even if we didn't get the bucket, to get good looks.
Cooney got loose there at the end of this half. What kind of adjustment do you have to make here in the second?
Well, we may have to switch. I hope not, because Fair and Cooney on the same side poses a lot of problems. But we got caught behind. We're so worried about his back cut because he comes out of timeouts for a back cut, and we got caught behind it, and we misplayed the screen, and he got a wide open three. We got to make it a little bit of an adjustment.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Back to you, Mike.
All right, Andy, thank you, and thanks to Tom Crean. Well, the SportsCenter Top 10 crew will get to work on this beautiful follow flush by Troy Williams. At the half-car Ravage, it's Q's by 4.
Hi, Mike, Dan, thank you. This is the Mazda Halftime Report, and we have Jay Will and the coach. They'll hash it out in just a couple of minutes, hashing out the first half. This is a game for big boys. I mean, you go inside, you're going to either get a foul, get your shot blocked, or you're going to have to dunk it.
And there's no doubt about it. This is a high-level game. And my question for Indiana, Syracuse has 7 blocks, Coach. I swear I want to teach these kids how to utilize a head fake or a floater. When you come into the lane, Noah Vonleh, utilize a head fake, get guys up into the air, crack into them. He's 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Start getting to the free throw line a lot more for Indiana.
When Syracuse plays C.J. Fair, Jeremy Grant, and Bai Musakita, they block out the sun. I mean, those guys really cover in the backcourt. But I like what Indiana's doing. 1, they're trying to beat the zone down the floor.
Yep.
2, they're trying to get someone behind the zone.
Yep.
And 3, that guy in the middle is getting to the offensive glass. If they continue to attack and then make a couple of shots, someone else besides Yogi Ferrell must make a 3.
He's been the guy that's been doing it so far as we're underway with our ACC Big Ten Challenge. We'll come back. Our guys will hash it out. In light of the coast-to-coast Chris Davis run, we'll ask what was the best college basketball finish ever. Many of them went coast to coast. Indiana used a jump shot to win its national championship, but then there's Leitner, then there's Ainge, then there's Valparaiso.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Mazda. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. What do you drive? And Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. You're watching the Mazda Halftime Report.
Yes, it is college basketball, but we're looking at football here, and because of this one play, the Chris Davis 109-yard return against Alabama woke everyone up and had them thinking, what was the greatest finish in other sports? This clearly the best finish in college football. How about college basketball? Our weekly segment of Hash It Out asked that question. Here's Jay Will and the coach, Shaq.
Well, Jay Will, in 1998, two-pass play, Valpo, Bryce Drew, bam, knocks down the jumper. I mean, it's so difficult to convert a two-pass play. Great touch pass. Drew steps into it, knocks down the three. How about the dive right there? And think about this. He's playing for his dad to make that big shot in that moment. Pretty good. But to me, I got to go with Tyus Edney. Long Beach Poly High School. Bobbing and weaving, getting to the front of the rim. This shot enabled UCLA to win a national championship. And to me, that's as good as it gets.
Can we bring it back to 1992?
Well, you're going to go.
Do you feel comfortable talking about a Duke highlight?
Wait a second. There's no doubt in my mind you've got to go Grant Hill, Christian.
Well, how could you not go with one of the greatest highlights of all time? Can we roll the film here? You have Grant Hill making the full court pass. Christian Laettner having the whereabouts to go over the right shoulder with the fake, over the left for a fadeaway. One of the best all-time winners of all time right here. Big-time play by Christian Laettner that lead them to their second national championship title. And then one of my all-time favorite games to watch, one of my all-time favorite coaches. In the spirit of Jimmy V Week, how do you not go with Derek Wittenberg? To this day, he still claims it was a pass. We all know it wasn't a pass, Wittenberg. Thank goodness Lorenzo Charles was there to give Jimmy V his first NCAA title.
Derek Wittenberg never saw a shot he didn't like. There's no way in the world that thing was a pass.
He averaged about 20 in that tournament, so he had a pretty good tournament.
As you learned last night, sometimes the shots that miss lead to the great finishes. Napier, terrible shot. Yeah. Wittenberg was a shot. As you mentioned, Jimmy V hanging right here in our studio over Jay Williams' shoulder. We want to ask you and invite you to contribute whatever you can in the fight against cancer. Almost $2 million raised last year. We've expanded our Jimmy V week now to 2 weeks, and we hope to eclipse that mark from last season. You guys brought up Edney, though. Let's go back a couple years even before that. If Edney's is good, how is it any better than Ainge, who went all the way to the rack? A, he scored the game winner for BYU, and B, maybe more significantly, he beat Digger Phelps.
Digger, stop the ball. Points in the paint, Digger. Points in the paint.
Now, you can see Digger out here saying, no, boys, the best finish ever was us ending UCLA's winning streak. Case closed, right? I mean, he could argue that.
He could, potentially, but we showed that highlight.
And nothing compares
like
to the
that highlight better.
Nothing compares to the football finish in sports.
Not even close.
Nowhere close.
Never seen anything like it.
Except Gibson and Mazeroski.
Always baseball with
baseball
you.
Tonight.
Why? It's basketball season.
Baseball season. Just listen to the news. Baseball continues. Here are the tweets, and we appreciate them and look forward to seeing them again next Tuesday. Best ending, Indiana, Kentucky in 11. For sure, there are so many great ones. The real Jay Williams, 10 points in 54 seconds. What? What are you clapping for, Jeff?
It's my boy right here. Come on now. He's my road dog.
Jimmy V and NC State. We invite you to continue the conversation, and thanks for the tweets, CBB, ESPN CBB, and hashtag Hash It Out.
This halftime report is presented by Mazda. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. What do you drive? This halftime report is presented by Mazda. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. What do you drive?
Bumpy road for Oregon football down the stretch, partly because that guy was banged up, Marcus Mariota. Good news for the folks at Oregon. He's coming back next year. A third-year redshirt sophomore. He will be back next year and perhaps get a Heisman, get his team back into national championship contention. That's where some of the Blue Bloods live when it comes to college basketball. National championship contention. Jabari Parker and Duke struggling a little early this year, but most believe they'll round into shape once it gets to the tournament. Jabari Parker's been really good. What do we expect to see from Duke tonight?
Well, look for them to start using Marshall Plumlee a little bit more to help protect the rim. And then the big question mark for them isn't Jabari Parker or Rodney Hood. It starts with Quinn Cook at the point guard position. When he's good, they're a great basketball team. But when he's not playing like we all know he could play in a defensive end, they really struggle. T.J. McConnell from Arizona, he was able to have his way with him offensively. Need to keep guys like that out of the paint, stop dribble penetration. I'm
interested to see how Michigan defends Duke when they go small. If Mitch McGary, he's going to be on the court 35 minutes. Who is he going to match up with? Can he defend Hood? Can he defend Parker? And then the other side, in ball screens, how does Duke defend the ball screens? They're getting killed in ball screen action.
Michigan's been banged up a little bit. We'll see how it turns out. Both those teams ranked in the top 25. Good ones, both of the other ones on ESPN2 and ESPNU as the Big Ten ACC Challenge continues.
Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games impacting the tournament and kicking off Jimmy V Week for cancer research here on ESPN.
Everybody has lost somebody to cancer. I lost my father to cancer and lost some great, great friends, my best friend to cancer. I've had a battle with it. It's something we all have to fight, make people aware of, raise money for. It's a horrible disease and it touches us all.
Couple of decades of the college basketball community really being leaders in the fight for cancer research, and we applaud everyone who's helped out along the way and continue that support. Mike Tirico, Dan Dockich, Andy Katz. Pretty good half, and Dan, I was talking to you just a couple minutes ago. For Indiana, this team that's learning, what a great experience in December, and now a chance to win a game here against the number 4 team in the country.
Mike, think about it, down 10-zip in a place that's absolutely raucous. They held their composure. They did what they do. They got on the defensive backboard. They got on the offensive backboard. Right now, Indiana's best offense is a missed shot. Couple things to correct for Indiana. Don't put it in the short corner, and and I mean don't go to the rim soft. For Syracuse, inside guys going to be the difference in this game. If they can get a few buckets, Syracuse going to win the game.
Same 10 that started the game start this second half, deflected out of bounds. IU will keep it with 27 on the shot clock. See all those blocks for Syracuse? 7. That was a big part of that first half story. After the poor field goal shooting, Indiana was 9 of 28 total in the half. A nice dive to the basket. Christmas with the goaltend. And we'll credit the hoop for the 3rd time tonight to Troy Williams.
Boy, veteran play. Great block and goaltend. But what a veteran play here by Troy Williams. He didn't stand and watch. So many of you guys stand and watch. Don't stand and watch. Go make a play. Troy Williams cut right down the lane, got himself a bucket.
Veteran play by a freshman.
Right. That's what's so impressive about this, Mike. This young basketball team from Indiana is just standing up to all the heat.
Off the ball, clean up the freedom of movement. Hand check called on Will Sheehy. And Andy Katz, what the Syracuse side have to say at the break?
Well, right before the start of the half, I talked to Associate Head Coach Mike Hopkins, who told me we've got to rebound, got to help on the penetration as well. But more than anything, this is a physical man's game, and we've got to rebound.
The foul on Sheehy was his 3rd. Rebounding has been Indiana's calling card the first part of the season. And Vonleh is going to pick up an interior foul, his 2nd.
I love what Syracuse did here. They whipped it around, and then you can see the position Coleman got. That foul happened before the reach around. Vonleh cannot allow Coleman to get that deep. Any offensive player, any good at all, any college player, any good at all with size is going to either get a foul, a bucket, or both out of that situation.
Syracuse fans' tradition, they stand and rhythmically clap until the first field goal is scored. Cooney couldn't make the reverse, and Vonleh back for IU.
Mike, Vonleh has no baskets in this game, only 6 free throws, and I think he's played like an absolute monster. He has been good on both ends of the floor. He's been smart. He hasn't rushed things. He's been terrific. A lot of things you can do in a basketball game without scoring a point.
Williams from the outside, missed the 3. And on the push, the freshman Tyler Ennis. Fair straight on triple. Sophomore Yogi Ferrell, former McDonald's All-American, feeling it. Put up a brick. And Ennis on the push the other way for the Orange. Tough pass to catch for Cooney, and the Syracuse turnover.
Well, it's a rare mistake by Ennis. I think Ennis, one of the more poised freshman point guards that I've seen. He just threw it off the shins of Clooney. Look, it's hard to catch with your shins, Mike.
Another great coaching tip from Dan Dockich. What is that app out there? Coaching My Way?
Yeah.
Love this kid Vonleh. Just love it. Looking forward so much to our Big Ten Tuesday nights together to watch Vonleh and the rest of this young Indiana team grow. All even at 33 after the first field goal for Noah.
Mike, he's a freshman going after a guy bigger and stronger in Coleman and just knocked him out of the way and poised enough to make a shot.
Fair put up a brick. Coleman strong inside.
Now Coleman did to him what Vonleh did to Coleman, just muscled him out of the way and went and got a bucket.
Daywan's a hometown kid, Janesville DeWitt High School. Led them to great high school success and Mr. Basketball here in New York in addition to his state title. The real high school basketball has improved around here so much as this program has played great basketball for 20, 25 years, always in the mix. Kids fall in love with the game earlier around here than they once did. We know about the great tradition in Indiana. This area has picked up its basketball play.
No question. You know, you see it all the time, Mike.
Cooney, a 3. fourth.
Ennis with a bad play previous time. This time with a great play. I was going to say, Mike, you see it all the time. Yogi Ferrell going to his left, throwing back across his body. You see it in football. It's always an interception. Same in basketball.
Von Leno from the outside. And it will belong to the Orange.
This is fun. This is a freshman. This is a freshman in the middle of the best zone in the country. Takes his time, pass fakes before he dribbles, and goes and gets a bucket. Now on the other end, Coleman went after him and got him as well. Pretty good action underneath.
He responded strong inside, which you need to see. Off a curl, it's Cooney. And he'll shoot three. On the strike, got hit on the arm.
Cooney moving without the ball. A little back screen, then he received a screen on a curl. Tell you what, Jim Boeheim has two guys, Fair and Cooney, that can really cut you up. I think Fair needs to do more cutting as opposed to stationary left block posting or left mid post, but Cooney's taking up for him with movement. Mike, the key to movement without the ball is this. Don't look at the ball. Now that seems like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm going to look at the ball. No. You look at the defense. Your eyes are on the defender. When you make your cut, you make it in reaction to the defender. He goes under, you go over. He goes over, you go under. He trails you, you curl. And then once you're just past the screen, you pick up the basketball. Cooney's terrific at it.
Has to be ready to shoot. You see Cooney's got his head over there, the student section, the far right-hand side. Left side is Trevor Cooney.
Beginning of the year, they said, who's that guy?
I know. He's become a very popular player here since the tie. Syracuse has run 8. Tough interior passing against this zone. It will stay with Indiana as we get the under-16 timeout. A little better offensive flow to start this half. Syracuse on top by 8. Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN, continuing our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. Big Ten ACC Challenge, Mike Tirico, Dan Dockage, Andy Katz here. Syracuse leading by 8 here at the first dead ball, under 16 minutes. Under 16, 12, 8, and 4. That first dead ball is the official timeout. Pays Dan's very high salary. with the commercial inventory in between.
When you were a student, is this a more raucous? I'm going to ignore that. Is this a more raucous student group, or is this pretty much business as usual?
More or less. My shot clock at 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and no clue. Young Indiana team wasn't ready. The old student section would have been calling out 5 and 4 when it was at 8 and 9, throwing them off a little bit. This student section not as basketball IQ.
Man, I got to tell you, Syracuse to me is one of the more basketball IQ strong places I go to. I mean, the Big Ten's ridiculous with it, but man, oh man, Syracuse, look at this movement. Look at him change direction, Cooney on the baseline.
And the runner by Ennis takes the lead back up to 10 very quickly here for Syracuse, equaling their largest lead of the game. Off the ball, foul inside on Syracuse.
Mike, this drive was set up because of great movement by Cooney on the baseline. Ennis made a terrific read. When the baseline shrinks, meaning it gets closer to the baseline, it opens up the top, and Ennis took advantage of it.
Foul on Coleman, Dan. That was his third first team foul of the half for Syracuse. Indiana has 3. Jeremy Hollowell gets it to Evan Gordon. Brother of IU star Eric, now of course in the NBA with the New Orleans Pelicans.
Evan Gordon has taken advantage of all of the rules in college basketball.
Just thinking the same thing. Fisher inside, turned it over. Hughes on a 10-0 run. IU in trouble. They covered Cooney at the three-point line, but now left him free for 3. That was about one club too much. Hollowell tried to go all the way, and Ennis's quick hands take it away.
When a team has great hands, what Syracuse does, you got to be judicious with that dribble. You can go split people on other teams, but not the Cuse. Oh, a little double-double action on the baseline. Cooney gave it up. Fair was going to get open.
The time Ennis was expecting Fair to turn back around, but here, as Fair was trying to avoid the turnover, a little pull is caught and called for the foul. CJ's second.
Watch the action left of your screen. Now watch Trevor Cooney. He's going to occupy Evan Gordon. All right. As we go through this, Evan Gordon's occupied. Yogi Ferrell just turns his head a little bit, worrying about the cutter, and when it flattens out like that, it gives the entire top of the key to a very quick, heady point guard, Ennis.
The ball movement that time. Gordon firing it inside. Devin Davis, who was a little banged up the end of that first half, didn't come right out for warm-ups to start the second half, but in here and helps draw the 4th personal foul on Dewan Coleman. So he will come out, and Syracuse will bring Jeremy Grant and the former Duke guard Michael Benajay back in the lineup.
Yeah, the good news is Coleman has 4 fouls. The bad news is probably the best offensive player, Jeremy Grant, is replacing him. So, but I do think this. I think Coleman's a guy that has to come on.
Robinson, huge mistake. He was in trouble and turns it over. And it will go back to the Orange on the 11th Indiana turnover of the night.
That's asking a lot. Tom Crean wants to play small. Vonleh, the only big guy. Devin Davis, more 6'7", but it's asking a lot for Robinson. Hasn't had a lot of experience in this to this far this season. He's a tough defender, so he's guarding Fair, but asking a lot offensively.
And then Syracuse is big here. Fair plays long and tall. Benajay's a tall guard at 6'7". Grant and Christmas obvious. Fair just takes it inside, banging a bucket for the Syracuse senior, and Crean's going to have to go right back to a little bit more size.
Yeah, he had to. He went one play too late, really, because you could see the look in Robinson's eyes. This wasn't a game for him. He allows Fair to go to his left hand, and we mentioned earlier, Indiana fans, if this isn't Calbert Chaney, I don't know what is. Calbert Chaney, all-time leading scorer in Big Ten history. Lean in with his chest, eliminates the defender, three-point play.
In Division I, no player, if you had last year in this, has played more minutes than C.J. Fair. Got his own miss. And Syracuse will reset here up a dozen, Dan.
Do you think I overstated? I think Fair is as good a player as there is in the country. I'm not talking about as good a player as there is to the next level. I'm just talking about for his team.
Grant inside, and the foul's going to be called on Devin Davis. And I know you're saying it's a completeness to his game, and he does so many things, and he's not going to wow you with 25 points or highlight dunks. He's not going to do what Smart does at Oklahoma State, things like that, but we don't see a lot of good seniors around anymore. He stayed because his NBA grade wasn't going to be super high, and secondly, he wanted to learn how to lead a team. And Andy Katz, he'll probably be one of the late game options for Jim Boeheim when things get tight come ACC time.
Yeah, no question about it. And so often these players don't listen to the right people. I mean, obviously Michael Carter-Williams off that Final Four team knew he was going to be a lottery pick, whereas C.J. Fair never got that kind of sign off from NBA personnel that would be good for him. So he listened to the right people, came back, wants to be a leader on this team.
To Andy's point, in 08, when I was interim coach at Indiana, I get a call. They've already hired Tom Crean. I'm just kind of hanging out. Great steal, great hands. And I get a call from the NBA advisory committee telling me that Eric Gordon is going to be a lottery pick. So I got talking to the guy that called me, and the bottom line is this. If you make a mistake coming out into the NBA draft, that is totally on you. As Andy said, you've listened to the wrong people, and that's on you, because the NBA and college work together to make sure that you have the most information, and you should never make a mistake.
Grant facing. Got to work on that outside shot for his next level potential and development. Of course, the pedigree son of Harvey Grant, Uncle Horace Grant. Here is the Eric Gordon tweet. Upset alert. IU basketball will beat Syracuse tonight. I have faith in my Hoosiers. Eric watching his brother Evan play here tonight. There's another Gordon in the pipeline. Terrific young prep player.
Yeah, Aaron. Not the Aaron Gordon at Arizona, but the Aaron Gordon at North Central High School. He's been an athlete with pop since he was in 4th grade. I mean, I've watched him after IU games when Eric was there, and his brother was unbelievably good. Great feat by Sheehy.
Drawing the charge on Fair. That'll be 3 on the Syracuse senior.
My man here has used the rules. Under-recruited or not really recruited, coming out of North Central High School, goes to Liberty, averages double figures, decides, hey, I want to play bigger, goes out for Herb Sendek, averages double figures.
At Arizona State.
At Arizona State, I'm sorry. And then, I got a 5th year. I'll go get a graduate degree at Indiana and play for the Hoosiers. And kids are exploited. Please.
It's been 6 minutes since Indiana has scored, and Vonleh inside is denied. The foul's called. The good news is, Dan, that when colleges are calling from the development department, he'll get a lot of phone calls. 3 different schools saying, get back to your old school, pal.
A lot of checks to write.
College Basketball Studios breaking news as baseball's hot stove is red hot. Jacoby Ellsbury agrees to a 7-year deal with the New York Yankees, adding spice to the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry. The Red Sox had been in pursuit of Ellsbury. The Yankees had been also in conversations with Shin-Soo Choo, Carlos Beltran, but Jacoby Ellsbury and Scott Boras take the act to New York. Much more coming up on SportsCenter, guys.
The outstanding anchor of baseball tonight, Carl Ravitch, with that news and the continued next chapter in the always interesting Yankee-Red Sox saga. 7 years for Ellsbury with the Yankees.
How have those long contracts worked out in baseball?
They usually don't work as well.
Right. But I wish he was coming to the Cubs.
You know, next year is almost here, Dan. Just one more month for Cubs fans.
I know.
It has been a struggle for Indiana the last 6 minutes and 8 seconds. 0 for 3 from the field, 5 turnovers, and just that 1 point on the free throw. So the 12-1 orange run has separated a game that the Hoosiers tightened up.
Interesting here, 1-3-1 for Indiana. Shots on the wing, shots on the baseline. Post up.
Shot clock down at 10. Ennis and Benajay work from the top, and Ennis will take the 3. Man, really?
That's a new. That's one of the most irritating things for me, Mike. They changed the basketballs 5 years ago or 4 years ago. They're the softest, and when they hit the back of the rim, they stick. And people talk about rule changes affecting the game. I'm telling you, it's worth 2 to 5 points every game.
Hollowell on the drive. That's going to be 4 unfair. Well, 4 fouls, 3 picked up here in the second half. C.J. Fair, so this will be an interesting window for Syracuse with a half of a half left, up 14, but they'll get an experience of not playing with their steadiest head out there and their senior Fair.
Yeah, now Grant has to really play. Against the 1-3-1, Grant has to find openings, maybe come to the elbows, run the baseline. He's got to really play now without Fair.
You talked about the basketball change. Syracuse just came back from Maui, and our former colleague, our friend Doug Gottlieb, now works over at CBS. He tweeted this, and it's so true. Those rims in Maui, I mean, I could score 4 points out there. You just put it up there, it's like a sewer. It goes in.
They're like those broke rims at the playground.
Ennis all the way. That's got to be a goaltend. A lot of rattling around the rim, and Sheehy is with a word there for Vonleh, the freshman, as the lead is up to 16 now.
This kid is smooth. This kid is really smooth, Ennis.
I've had 2 straight nights of crowd noise. Those people in Seattle are still in my head.
Is this one of the Guinness World Records?
No, we don't have any of those guys.
Okay.
Measuring noise. Terrific life. Ohio State at home will take on Maryland. Maryland's last Big Ten ACC challenge. And then North Carolina on that side of the fence. And then North Carolina playing Michigan State. Of course, Maryland will switch over to the opposite side of this challenge coming up next year. Andy, you got some news on that second game here tomorrow night?
Well, in communicating with North Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham, he told me there's still no timetable, no update on when P.J. Hairston and Leslie McDonald will be reinstated or reinstated at all. I mean, they're still in that fact-finding phase of trying to get information from the NCAA. So everything's still on hold with those 2 players. We saw North Carolina against Louisville a couple weeks ago at the Mohegan Sun, and Roy Williams at this point is counting as if they're not there because he's got to deal with the players that are on the court.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you know what? I have no sympathy for those 2 kids. I mean, if you're going to break rules, don't expect people to hurry and help you out.
Cooney, a 3. His 5th three-pointer. I'm just looking over at Jerry McNamara, the assistant coach. He's got a big old smile on his face as he watches Cooney continue to perform. And it's the hands. Cooney. Hard foul. Look out. Dangerous as Etherington hit him. And Cooney took a very full-speed shot into the support. It'll be an intentional foul on Austin Etherington. And fortunately, Cooney is up. And we'll hear a reaction here from the crowd. officials going for a look at the monitor. They're just blatant push in the back.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Your left hand? You think?
I think he did, but watch him get the ball here. I'm not saying that they're not going to call flagrant. He gets the ball right there, and I do think the left hand got him.
Right.
But I thought real time. Watch right here. He gets the ball right there, and then the push in the back. No question.
It's interesting, and all I saw was our live angle of the left hand right in the back, which is right down our line.
And I thought it was intentional. But Mike, I'm telling you, man, I think he got the ball, and he certainly did push him. But
no, you're right. He does get the ball. It is very close to simultaneous.
Right.
But there's no doubt there's the left hand extended out. It wasn't like it was a nudge or a blow by.
And they're going to call it flagrant here. No question about it. But I do think in Etherington's defense, he did get the basketball.
It wasn't like it was two hands pushing the kid in the back. He's trying to make some sort of a play on the ball. It's a great spot there by you on that. And it's again one of those plays with the reaction, because Cooney's full speed and losing his balance as he loses the ball. Absolutely. May look worse than the actual impact. And the question is, will he be ejected from the game? It's a flagrant 2, and that's an ejection.
When the officials come over, I'm going to ask them why. And it's got to be on the shove, obviously.
Yes.
But
second flagrant foul. Here's a flagrant one earlier tonight. And that was on Noah Vonleh. The flagrant 2, just for the definition terms, a personal foul that involves contact with an opponent that is not only excessive but also severe or extreme while the ball is live. So it has to fit that definition of severe and extreme. And in the opinion of Carl Hess, Jamie Luckey, and Michael Stevens, those words separated from a flagrant 1. So Etherington, the redshirt sophomore, who had just checked in the game, will be ejected. So the flagrant 2 is called as Indiana has struggled here offensively. Fortunately, Cooney is okay, and he'll come up for a couple of free throws and make the first one.
A flagrant 2 because they felt the entire thing was unnecessary, and it didn't matter. You know, I asked about, hey, did you see him hit the ball? They said, look, we just called it because of the entire thing. So.
And Etherington, as you heard, as Cooney was taking that second free throw off to the locker room. Cooney with 19, and fortunately for him, stays in the game. He is not injured, and now this thing will be whistled very tightly.
Well, that was a foul by Yogi Ferrell. Yogi Ferrell, lucky they're not going to go to review that because he hit. If he was at quarterback, this would have been a problem and a fine for Ferrell because he hit Ennis right in the head, right in the face.
Ennis will come back to the free throw line. Since that 1987 championship game when Indiana played Syracuse in New Orleans and Indiana won on that late shot, Syracuse has won all the matchups in between the 4, and this is the first time they've played on either team's home floor. Here's the foul you were talking about, Dan, a second ago.
Kind of got him in the throat.
That was Ahmad Brooks of San Francisco on Drew Brees of the Saints.
You know, none of those games after that national championship quite meant as much.
No, there's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
But I will tell you, that
thanks for that update.
That hype that we showed may have been, I think, in the top. I've coached with Coach Knight. I was with Coach Knight for 16 years. That might have been as miserable a night as we've ever had.
There was a blowout in the Garden.
Yeah,
that night. Trying to break free, Ennis, and the foul is called. Indiana has gone almost 9 minutes without a field goal. And what we're watching here with this Indiana team are the difficult steps of maturing for a very young team, which is going to have nights where they're challenged offensively because of their lack of outside shooting, Dan, and they're going to have to grind through games in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's what I said. First possession against UConn in the Garden. Came down in transition, flipped it back to a trailing Jeremy Hollowell, I believe it was, and he had a wide open look at a three. Now, last year, that thing is up, and chances are it's in because they led the country in three-point shooting last year. This year, now you got to grind out possessions, and over the course of a game, particularly on the road, really tough. Mike, I love this kid, Ennis. I think he's fantastic. I saw him in AAU. I heard of him a lot. I mean, he keeps his head up. He doesn't react. He can shoot the ball. He can shoot different kind of shots. He's a team-first guy. I'm so impressed with him and Cooney. I can't even begin to tell you. They've been awesome. Excuse me.
Jim Boeheim's had several freshman point guards and did speak and away from the ball here. Again, tight contact's going to be whistled even more after a couple of flagrants. That will be on B1G of Syracuse. A little background on the freshman Ennis. The many players from Canada who have making an impact in the NBA and the NCAA over the last couple of years, and now soon the NBA. Sport management, his major, the Falk School, sports management here at Syracuse.
That's named after David Falk, right?
That's right.
Michael Jordan's first agent.
An alum, and he's the major donor.
This beautiful campus up on the hill. I did not know that. I didn't know it was a private school, 12,000 kids.
Good to get you out of the state every once in a while, Indiana. You are still a very young man. You can broaden your horizons.
I just knew that every guy I met from here is really, really smart.
I thought you were going to say cheap.
No.
Well, that we know, but let's see if we get the Hoosiers a basket here. Hollowell coming to the goal. B1G in the way. And he's going to be whistled for the foul here. If it's his, then that'll be his fourth. It is. So, much like Fair, Michael B1G has 4 fouls.
This is the kid here, Hollowell. Hollowell has to play for Indiana. He's a versatile kid out of Lawrence Central High School, played in a terrific program, can shoot it, he can go to the rim, he understands the game, he can pass, but sometimes he plays with a motor that's running too slow. It's far better to have guys that go too fast. You want to slow guys down. There's nothing more miserable in coaching than having to speed guys up all the time. Yogi Ferrell, you got to slow down. Okay, fine, you can deal with that, but you don't want to speed them up.
Could Hollowell's consistency be an X factor for Indiana as we go to January and February?
Absolutely huge. That and his toughness, Mike. Offensively, pretty good. Played well in the Michigan game for the Big Ten championship last year, but that's last year. You got to bring it.
No place to hide. Some of those big names no longer around. B1G still in there with 4 fouls. He misses. It is a 23-4 Syracuse run since Indiana had it even at 33. And the run gets worse as Cooney goes up and dunks. Will Sheehy, who has not been the factor offensively that he needs to be for IU. Good hustle by Gordon to keep the possession alive. Sheehy missed a short one as well. This has quickly turned into a lopsided game.
Boy, this baseline action's tough to guard. Really tough. Now they've got a mismatch with Grant.
And it will go the other way. Indiana fans have not seen their team put the ball in the hoop a lot against Syracuse the end of last year, the start of this year. A little bit of intensity and emotion, conference feel for this Big Ten ACC challenge game. It's all orange right now. The Q's up 21. Back here in Syracuse with Dan Dockich and Andy Katz. Mike Tirico. Syracuse leading Indiana 58-37. We mentioned Jimmy V week getting started. Hope you're with us at the 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. Got to see that V speech in its entirety. It never gets old. It's always so impactful. It's hard to believe it's over 2 decades now. And the amount of work that has been done for cancer research. JimmyV.org, 1-800-4-JIMMY-V. The incredibly poignant words of our friend and colleague Robin Roberts really set the proper tone for us as we begin this week. And just calling awareness to something so important to so many of us. John Saunders, a great friend of Jimmy V, Dick Vitale. A lot of our colleagues have put a lot of their time and energy and passion into helping this cause, and we really appreciate all of you who've joined us along the way.
Syracuse foul number 12, his third.
There are the reminders, and that second fact there, so important. All the donations, cash donations awarded to cancer research directly. The foundation's endowment covering all the administrative expenses. Noah Vonleh at the line for Indiana as the Hoosiers have scored only 9 points here in this second half.
Yeah, they really, first half, didn't have much offense. Hit a couple late threes and was able to get to the backboard. And the longer you play against Syracuse, if you don't find something you can do that brings you comfort offensively, this is what happens.
Interesting mix here for Syracuse as all 3 of the guards that play with Ennis, Benajay, and Cooney out there on the floor. Benajay working with those 4 personal fouls.
Mike, how about Cooney? 21 points, 4 steals, 6 threes. Ennis 15 points, 6 assists, 4 steals. And I understand Syracuse people. Oh, man.
A beautiful pass was by Musakita, couldn't make the catch inside.
Well, I understand Syracuse people saying, well, top of the zone's not going to be as good. Michael Carter-Williams, what he's doing in the NBA, what he did last year. Trish, long, strong, but I'll tell you what, these 2 guys on the top, Cooney and Ennis, make up for it with anticipation and terrific, and I mean terrific, hand-eye coordination. Their hand goes exactly where their eyes tell them the ball is going to go. It's fun to watch.
Vonleh inside going at Grant, and Grant will be called for his 3rd personal foul. Syracuse double bonus here. Let's talk about Cooney and show you a little bit of what he's done here tonight.
Mike, he prepared himself so well. I said it before the game. I had a chance to talk to him. He was out there. He made 22 straight threes from that spot right there. And he's not only been a guy in this game that makes threes. He's stolen the basketball. He's cut really well. I mean, he has set up his teammates, not with the pass, but by the cut. He's been terrific and deserves the ovation he's getting.
Free throws good, 58-40 with 5:40 to go. It's a Syracuse team that really has its rotation of 8 pretty dialed in. Very often early in the season, Jim Boeheim will do a little more exploring at 9 and 10 in the rotation, and then get it down to 8 and 7 really once the meat of the conference season digs in, if not for foul trouble. But that 8 is about set as early as I remember over the last 15 years.
Mike, oh man, look at that.
Ennis and 1.
How good is he?
Wow, that was really good.
NBA might have called this an offensive foul with the push, but I can't say enough. Watch his head. His head is up, and his chin is on the rim, and left-handed, just inside out against Vonleh. Takes the contact because his chin is on the rim. Mike, I want to go back to something. I'm curious. And I'm guessing the answer is yes. Has the fan base started to appreciate Jim Boeheim in the last 5-10 years much better, or no?
I think more. Vonleh inside, big dunk by Noah in transition. A rare easy basket in this half as Indiana's down 18 at the 5-minute mark. I would say yes, Dan, because, well, let me just point this out. It was 12:42 between field goals for Indiana before that Vonleh punch. I would say yes. I think the national championship started it, and then the consistency afterwards. An appreciation that it's not going to get better the next person who comes in here. Jim Boeheim has done so much. A couple of the best things this school did, the one really, is right in front of us, naming this Jim Boeheim court. No one has done more for this university or this city on a national basis than Jim Boeheim, who has been a part of this basketball program for decades, generations. That's an overstatement sometimes, but it's not, because it's not just the wins and all those things you see in the Hall of Fame in 2005. It's as a player, 76 games, an assistant coach, 204. 56% of the games Syracuse has played in basketball, and they started playing here in 1900. Jim Boeheim's been a player, assistant, or a head coach. Andy Katz?
Well, when I talked to Jim Boeheim at the ACC Media Day, and we've had him on our podcast with Seth Greenberg, he talked about sort of being re-energized with this move to the ACC. It's all new venues. You've got some of the best of the Big East. They renewed their rivalry with Villanova. They're expecting to do the same with Georgetown here coming up, maybe next year, the year after. So he did not sound like a man who's ready to retire. Mike Hopkins has turned down some other jobs, chased some, but has stayed put at his side. Yet Jim Boeheim looks like he's going to coach here for a number of years.
You know, I think he's the coolest man in college basketball. I do. He's like the James Dean of college hoops, man. He just
looked like Vonleh was in trouble, and at worst it would be a jump ball instead. To foul on Keita. Syracuse is 3 players now all on the floor here with 4 personal fouls, including Keita. So I just want to go back to that.
Mike,
I know Bart Fox, our producer, Doug Holmes, our director in the truck. They're going to put up a shot at Jim Boeheim after this free throw, and I want you to repeat. What'd you say? Jim Boeheim is what?
Look at him. That's just cool. Other guys are stamping around, and you know. That's all. That's just cool.
That's what he's taught Mike Hopkins. Yeah. So Boeheim has now gone cool, and Hopkins has gone the full Boeheim reaction.
Yeah, well, you do that when you're an assistant coach.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I just, one thing college coaches can really do, really do is talk. About themselves mostly. And Jim Boeheim, you ask him what he's doing. Oh, man, great players. And then he's one of the best interviews. He's just a cool guy.
Colin Hartman, 30, the freshman in for Indiana. Benajay working inside. And he gets it to go to break into the scoring column. And get his first field goal. You're talking about your interviews on your radio show. Katz is pushing his podcast.
I didn't say on my radio show. I just said he's interesting. He's just cool. Look, he wins, and he's not always happy. I didn't say he was the happiest guy.
Coolest man in college basketball.
Coolest man in college hoops, right there. It's come a long, long way since plaid was cool. Sanzabelt, baby.
Over Georgia Tech by 7 with less than 3 to play on ESPN2. And Pittsburgh by 6 over Penn State. That one's on ESPNU. Our next game, the big fella, Jabari Parker, looking to go over 20 again. He's done so in 7 of 8 games this season. We look forward to seeing that one as our game concludes. We'll send it back to Mike and Dan.
Okay, Ravi, thank you. Carl and Seth, the co-star of Andy's podcast, and Gene Williams in the studio here for us. Story here in the second half has been that Indiana near 13-minute field goal drought. The one positive, if you're going to take from an Indiana standpoint, did you spill something already?
I am not saying.
You just spilled soda. It's the first game.
I'm from Northwest Indiana. We don't know nothing.
This is the positive I'm going to take for Indiana tonight, Dan. I have a question about watching Vonleh and Williams as freshmen. How are they going to handle the physicality of the Big Ten season? It's going to be a grind as freshmen grow their body. And Vonleh, he's accepted contact. He has sought it here tonight. And as you see, most of those 15 points have come on free throws. These are free throw attempts, 15 and 16 on the night.
And I think that bodes well for him. I mean, look, he's done a lot of really good things here, Mike. He's had an effect on the defensive backboard. Mike, the real problem for Indiana is going to be having to grind out so many possessions. If they can't get the ball down the floor and do something in transition, they don't have much shooting. They really don't. And you know what? Over a 40-minute game, it takes a real toll if you have to grind all this out. And that's what they've had to do here against the zone.
Three-point shooting foul tonight, 3 for 12, which will continue to dip into their field goal percentage, which is 28 from 3 as the night got started.
Well, Mike, one of the problems is the only guy that's made a 3 tonight is really the only guy that starts or plays a lot that can make a 3, and that's Yogi Ferrell.
To travel on the freshman Troy Williams, and Indiana's turned it over 16 times here tonight. Well, in addition to the Big Ten ACC Challenge, also have Big 12 SEC Challenge action coming up this week, including Kentucky taking on Baylor, number 3 against number 20, and we'll have that for you Friday night, 10 Eastern, 9 Texas time on ESPN.
I like Baylor enough, but Baylor's kind of one of those teams that's good enough to get you fired.
What?
Well, here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying Scott Drew's going to get fired at all, but they're the kind of team that's really good, really talented, but when they play a tough game down the stretch, most times they're going to lose. And I don't know why I felt that way, but it was like, you know, watching the Syracuse game live and then watching on tape. Calvert Chaney.
Or C.J. Fair, Dan, is reminded of Calvert Chaney's style of play with 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field.
I just love C.J. Fair.
I know, I can tell.
I know. I've had him on my preseason All-American list. I don't put any freshmen on because you got to prove at least something, and they certainly have. But I just think this kid is such a rock on winning teams.
Yogi Ferrell has hit all 4 of the Indiana three-pointers, and the Syracuse lead is 17 as we dive under 2 minutes now.
Let me ask you, you've seen Syracuse basketball since 1962. How good is this team?
I'm not ready to dive in there. I was surprised to see them at number 4, and it's because the attrition for teams ahead in the rankings, early losses. The lob to Christmas on the 7th night of Hanukkah. 67-48, and now 67-50 on the inside drive by Gordon.
Talent-wise,
they need front court scoring, and if Grant becomes a part of the front court scoring equation, I think the guards are better than I thought they would play. You know, Michael Carter-Williams, sensational defender and such a long defender. You didn't mention James Sutherland in the equation. But these
by
players,
the way, made an NBA team.
Yes. And these players, now Syracuse has this trend of sophomore players, as Fair drives his foul, who step their play up as they play more of that second year. We're seeing a little bit of that here tonight.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's, and in part by Moto X, designed by you, assembled in the USA, and the Acura Season of Reason event.
Fans heading out into this warm Syracuse night. Temperature in the upper 30s as benches are emptied now. Indiana bringing in Johnny Marlin, Peter Jerkin, Jeff Howard.
See this kid here, Ron Patterson, Broad Ripple High School. He signed at Indiana, went to summer school at Indiana, and there are 2 different versions of what happened there. Bottom line is, Indiana let him go. He went to prep school, and now he ends up here at Syracuse.
At prep school, Brewster Academy in Massachusetts. He has played limited action. B.J. Johnson, also a good-looking freshman for Syracuse, number 2. He and Patterson will be the ones who develop. Jeff Howard, who got that start against Evansville last week with the basket. We're going to see the Hoosiers 3 times on our Super Tuesdays against Wisconsin, in East Lansing against Michigan State, and at Wisconsin in February. We'll see the Orange on Big Monday, which will include ACC action against Notre Dame and at Maryland, and game day on February 1st, the Saturday before the Super Bowl against Duke. Coach K against Coach Boeheim, the 2 Olympic coaching buddies. But tonight, in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, the 'Cuse pulls away in the second half to win by 17. So, Syracuse continues to win games. That's now 5 against Indiana since they had that famous 1987 championship game. And the Orange continue their great run of non-conference home games in front of nearly 27,000 on a Tuesday night in the Dome. And Syracuse, first time representing the conference in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, gets the first win for the ACC. Michigan and Duke from Cameron coming up next. Can't wait to watch the action there. With Dan Dockage, Andy Katz, and our entire ESPN team, Mike Tirico. So long from the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Carl Ravitch and company coming up on the other side of this break.